good, family? Welcome back to my space. You know it's a whole vibe over here. I hope you've been staying focused. Well, today I prepared another spread. I like to ask spirit questions, okay? I just don't like going in blindly with blind readings. I actually like to ask spirit certain questions. So today, spread that I prepare, it's about being toxic or being in toxic situations. I notice a lot of people might find themselves in toxic relationships, okay? So I believe everything is spiritual, so let's get into it. Why do you keep getting in these toxic relationships on a spiritual level? So y'all can follow along with your cards if you would like. If y'all like any spreads that I ever make up, you can get your cards and you can follow along if you want to, okay? So this is a collective reading. All the messages might not resonate with everyone, but if you stop by, I think that something in this reading will resonate with you. So let's get into it. Okay, family. So the first question of this spread is, why do you keep finding yourself in toxic relationships? Why do you keep finding yourself in toxic relationships? The Knight of Material shows up here in reverse. Okay, so the Knight of Material shows up here in reverse. So this is like not easily to go to something new. You feel what I'm saying? Not easily to go to something new. So you find yourself in toxic relationships based on habit. Because the people that you be in toxic relationships with are people who have you been in relationships with for a long time, or people that you have dealt with a long time. You feel what I'm saying? It's almost give me a feeling like I'd rather deal with this toxic person than to start over. Okay, I'd rather deal with this toxic person than to start over. Then this card speaks about maybe, you know, looking past a lot of the toxic signs, okay, in order to be with this toxic person. For a lot of you, y'all stay in toxic relationships. You find yourself in toxic relationships because these are people that you have dealt with for a long period of time. You don't want to be alone. You don't want to be alone, so you rather put up with what's toxic instead of finding something new, okay? The Seven of Swords comes up here. You rather hold everything in mentally and deal with what you're used to, okay? Because you're afraid to be alone. The Three of Swords talks about sorrow. So it's like you're choosing to be this way because you're afraid to be alone, okay? So why do you keep finding yourself in toxic relationships? Because you're afraid to be alone, and you rather stick with the same toxic relationship that you've been in for a long period of time. This is what I see. You rather deal with the toxic situation. When you find out they toxic, you stay in a relationship for a long period of time instead of moving forward when you need to. You avoid all the red flags, all the red signs that tell you to turn the other way. This is what I see. So let's get into the next question, y'all. What are these relationships teaching you on a soul level? What are these toxic situations teaching you on a soul level? The Nine of Material comes up here. You think that that's all that you can have. You think that that's all that there is. An Ace of Swords comes up here in reverse. This talks about being, it's keeping you locked in a certain mind frame when it comes to relationships. It's keeping you locked in a certain situation when it comes to relationships, okay? It's keeping you locked and bound in a certain mind frame. So on the soul level, it's not helping you to experience what love is really about. Okay, it's not helping you experience what love is really about. Some of you might be dealing with someone who has their emotions all over the place, a repeated cheater. But now you're in the mind frame of everybody cheats when everybody don't cheat. It's just a toxic relationship that you decide to stay in. Okay, so let's get into the next question here. How are these relationships hurting you on a soul level? How are these relationships hurting you on a soul level? How are these relationships hurting the collective on the soul level? Disheartedness. Then the Ten of Swords. It's making you feel a negative way towards love and relationships. It's making you feel a negative way towards love and relationships. The Chariot card is making it hard for you to move forward. Okay, it's hard for you to move forward into thinking about that dream relationship. You think all that shit is fairy tale now, okay? Because you done been in these toxic situations for so long. And you might be, some of you might have found yourself in different relationships, but with the same toxic ass energy. With the same toxic ass energy, because you settle. You avoid the red flags. You don't want to be alone. You settle, okay? This is what I see. Let's pull one oracle card out here. Sacrifice. Are you willing to sacrifice? You're sacrificing a lot of yourself. Okay, so we ask, what are these relationships? How's these relationships hurting you on a soul level? You're sacrificing. It's a sacrifice. Even though you feel like, okay, so I'm going to stay in this relationship with what's familiar, because I'd rather be in a relationship with what's familiar than go fuck with somebody, and I might as well just stay with them if I'm going to deal with bullshit. But you're sacrificing your own happiness, because that's not the case. There are good relationships, and there are people who want to treat you good, or relationships that can treat you good. Okay, you're just choosing to stay stuck in this same mind frame. You're just choosing to stay stuck. All right, family, let's get into the last question. Well, this is not the last question. I prepared 5 questions, so that's question number 3. Let's get into the next question. Toxic relationship. Will you ever experience a non-toxic relationship? This is for the collective. Will you ever experience a non-toxic relationship? For the collective. All right, the Queen of Cups comes up here. Okay, this talks about reflecting. Okay, reflecting on yourself. Reflecting on how you get in these toxic relationships. The Emperor card comes up here in reverse. This is talking about taking authority. It comes up here in reverse. So sometimes you're too soft, too giving, not reflecting or taking accountability. And then in turn, you give your power away. So we ask, will you ever be in a non-toxic relationship? Not if you keep giving your power away and not taking accountability for the parts that you play in being in a toxic relationship, if you understand what I mean. Okay, family, I hope that makes sense. Let's pull your oracle card out here. Let's pull your oracle card. Reach out. That 3 keeps showing up here. Spirit is really telling you about options. Like, some of you are choosing to stay in toxic situations. Some of you are choosing this. Okay, so don't be talking about how everybody's toxic, because this is toxic behavior. You are pretty much the one that's toxic as well. Okay, I just want to let you know. All right, so let's get into the next question. The next question is really just advice or divine guidance to close out this reading for the collective when we're dealing with toxic situations, putting ourselves in toxic relationships that's hindering us on our soul's growth, that's making us not believe in relationships. Any divine guidance or advice coming out here today, Spirit? All right. Love yourself. See, a lot of times we go through a lot of things because we don't love ourselves. If we love ourselves, we won't be looking for or accepting partial love. Okay, we won't be accepting someone to love us halfway. We'll be looking for the whole thing, because we know that we can love ourselves for the whole thing. So we're not going to put up with someone loving us halfway. Okay, so Spirit wants you to know, in order to get yourself out of these toxic situations, the divine guidance and the divine advice is love yourself. Okay, so I hope this reading was helpful. I hope y'all enjoyed it, and I hope it was helpful to someone. Okay, private readings are available. Hit me up on Snap, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye.